right, good afternoon, everyone. All right, it's the end of the day, come on. So my name is Joye, I'm a developer from the Dallas office. Right now, I just got started in my first project in Atlanta. But while I was in Dallas, I was fortunate enough to attend a series of Inception training workshops with Eugene and Cannon and Beck was there. So I learned a lot, and I thought it'd be really interesting to share what I learned as fast as I can. So hence the topic, 6 steps to an inception in 5 minutes. So I'm going to jump right in. So first, step 1, pre-planning. Quick question. You don't have to answer, but just give me. So who did their homework before they got here today? Okay. We got some good thought workers. So pre-planning is like the homework phase. You want to do your homework and understand your client before you get there. This includes like thinking about what they do as a business, what their industry involves. Along with that, you want to gather your team. Inceptions are a lengthy process, so you can't do it alone. Also, you want to review any relevant documents that you might have, such as statements of work, proposals, etc. So then, you want to move into step 2, which is business and project context. So this means you're going to work with the client to actually understand their business a little more. So you're going to ask them questions like, what's your value proposition? Let's map up a business model canvas. Who are your competitors? Things like that. So once you get this overall context, you can delve into the project. So you want to really understand how can ThoughtWorks bring value to this business. So that's basically step 2. Step 3 is called product solutioning. So you got your overall context. Now you want to focus in on the problem space. This involves really thinking about the issues and the processes that are around your certain issue. So how do the people work with it? Why are they calling us in? What do they need this for? And when you begin thinking that way, then you can begin to think of initial ways to solve the problem. And this is where you write up your first stories. It's just a picture. So that's product solutioning. Then you move into step 4. So you have your context, you have your initial stories. What's next? I know the answer's behind me. The technology. So in step 4, you want to really do something called technical visioning. So that involves a few things. You want to do a current technical assessment and say, what is the state of this problem in the business? So is there a solution already being worked on? Is the team working on it now? What's the quality of the code? All of these things you want to consider. And from your assessment, you can get a variety of outputs such as is architecture, attack trees, and tech debt quadrants. But most importantly, you just want to get in the mindset to go ahead and make some decisions about what tools you're going to be using. So along with the tools, you're going to be thinking about what cross-functional requirements you want to prioritize, what are the risks, assumptions, issues, and dependencies, and what does your path to production look like. So all of these things you want to consider in step 4. Next you have step 5, which is estimation and planning, which is exactly how you would probably guess you're estimating. So with estimation, you're going to go through all of your stories and your features and epics and estimate them so that you can understand and agree on the size of your project. Once you do that, then you can create a plan based off how big you think the project is going to be and the risk and everything else that you have been determining throughout your inception. Once you're finished with that, then you move on to the final step, which is wrap up and showcase. And when you get there, then you can just verify your plan, establish a shared understanding, and close the inception with the showcase. So I hope I didn't go too fast, but if you need any more information, my ThoughtWorks is filled with inception decks. And I also have all of the slides that we used at the training, so if you need it, just contact me. Thank you.
What is an inception?
Huh?
What is an inception?
Oh, good question. So an inception is done before the project to kind of understand what's going on and what you need to do and what exactly our work would be. Okay. Anyone else?
Was this a ThoughtWorks hosted Inception workshop? Like just an internal one?
Yes, it was. So it's led by Patty Mandarino, and it was hosted at SWAT.
Oh.
So every Tuesday for 3 weeks we went for about 3 to 4 hours. They were supposed to be like 2 hours, but they couldn't. But yeah, very good.
Has anybody here, I know,
inception and we didn't follow the steps. And so you actually said that we're sometimes working with or listening to the customer and working with them, but I think that for some reason it felt like we were kind of directing what the customer should do. And there was one particular meeting where it was a little bit, not explosive, but I don't think the product owner liked what we were doing, and there was a lot of backlash. And for me, that was a really big learning moment because you kind of like need to bring your customer on this journey where you kind of push them through their wall that they can't see past. And we've gotten to that point, but I remember thinking like, why are we doing this inception if it's making our product owners so upset? So that was like a challenge that I had.
Where we were at the start of the week and where we were at the end of the week was a huge difference in terms of what our team thought the project was going to be. We went from not having blue-green deployment at all come up in a conversation at the beginning to being pretty much a necessity by the end.
I was gonna say, from my personal experience, or for anybody that ever sits, that has to go to one, so in that first step, it's funny because the steps you don't actually, some of the steps actually work better if they're happening at the same time. I find that whoever's gonna be going on the inception or part of it, all of that planning should be done collectively as a team. It shouldn't just be one person that comes, you should sort of all figure out, and you should loosely have a plan with the full understanding that on a day-to-day basis, you will change it based upon what you learn for that day. So you treat it almost like, this whole concept of agile sort of learning, like the whole concept of what we've been talking about, the whole prototyping, and you learn and then you change and you learn and you change. Every instruction I've been on that's been successful is because you go in as a team figuring out like what you're gonna do, what exercises you're gonna try, and you go in as a team, you're all watching. And then you have a retro at the end of the day, just as a team, to talk about what you learned, and then you change it again for the next day. And that's why then as you progress to the end of the week, it's almost like this, you go in with one set of assumptions and usually come out with something entirely new. And it's frustrating with the clients as well, but they come out, if you do it right, with this huge, I'm not sure if you've ever gone through this, they usually love us if we do it that way. Yeah. They always hate the fact that we can't plan it and tell them exactly what it's gonna be, and usually the feedback is, I wish you told me this in the beginning, and usually our response is, if we did, it never would have happened this way.
So, well, it was kind of sort of a question, but also a comment. So I was not part of the last inception of the project, I was on it after. But at the end of the project, as we were wrapping up, the clients came to us and said, back when we had the inception, it was a whole week of the time, and we haven't had any like follow-up. So obviously, we had the inception to plan how we're gonna build the product, and we built the product and delivered it. But there was no, like they wanted to see some tangible, like, we spent this entire week understanding, yes, we have an awesome end product, but like how is all of that useful? So I'm just curious, like, I don't know if we've caught anything on this, but from your perspective, or if anyone else has experienced ways to like follow up on the inception, post-inception.
I think it depends on the client. So, like a big financial, like Barclays, I think we would actually have there be a task, which was you write a lot of stuff down. And they very much want to see that those artifacts, right? They want to know that they're getting anything for their money. If it was somebody who was a smaller business, then I would talk to them and say, I feel like we understand, what you need, based on that. These are some things that, that are probably important to do. And, I've not done a formal ThoughtWorks inception, but on inception and game design issue, conversations I've had before, there will be a sentence that someone says that flips everything over. And so that's why you come in with this plan, and then you realize, oh, the person that brought us in is about to get fired, right? And like we're saving their job. That's what's really going on. And then everything you had planned is just out the window.
Because that's when you see their dynamics. A lot of the time, if you don't do that, you don't really understand the dynamics that's going on in the business, and you sort of just evolve and learn it. But if you do an inception, you can get all the real stakeholders in the room. You watch them as they go at each other, and you can then realize who really influences who. That's what you learn out of these inceptions. It's less sometimes about all this other stuff. It's all about learning about how your client works with each other and how they communicate and who really sort of influences or just is empowered. And that's what I've seen. As for what we've done in most of the clients I've been in, we actually take a lot of the Inception artifacts and they become part of our team room. And so, because a lot of Inceptions you come out with release plans, but you come out with some major artifacts and some major like risk, and so you always have it there. So when you bring people in for your showcase, they always see it. And so at some point in time, you start talking to them. And then slowly but surely you take them off the wall as they stop having any value, and it can only cause you more pain and problems. So, but they don't notice that. They just notice it's been there, and it worked. It's worked for me. Like the past 3 clients I've been to do it that way.
The estimates are always wrong. They're usually 3 times too small.
Big time.
Any last questions?